excitement of artistic creation, the new, dance, music, theater. It's happening here at the Guggenheim Museum with the Works in Process series. This is Tony Randall inviting you to join performing artists as they discuss, experiment, rehearse, and present excerpts from their new works. Please join us.
We are in an art museum, and we are in New York City. I think it is up to us to try as best we can to present, to discuss, to enjoy all of the arts around us. Why should we limit ourselves to one? Works in Process actually began when I was working with La Maison Française of NYU. NYU was presenting a work by UNESCO, and I persuaded them to come and do it in the Rotunda of the Guggenheim as well. And it turned out to be a great deal of fun. It was interesting, and so that caused us to think that perhaps we could have a program of performing arts. It wasn't easy in the beginning. It was difficult to find things that would be suitable and to find acceptance of them by the museum. But we had a wonderful time, and it just grew. These are glimpses of a play which was presented by Peter Brook called the Mahabharata.
The Mahabharata is about the age of destruction. It's about conflict and war, about the meaning of war, of the meaning of struggle. And the Mahabharata, very simply, gives indications of not only how to survive, but something much more important, how to live within an age of destruction.
Of course, Peter Brook was absolutely fantastic and went ahead and did one of the best programs we ever had.
So the king then, a bleeding skeleton, stood himself onto the scales, and still they didn't move.
Stop, said the falcon. Stop. I am Dharma. I have come to test you. I have heard that you are the most just king in the world. Good. You have passed your test. May you be in good health. And the falcon and the pigeon flew away together.
Welcome to this performance of excerpts of a new opera, Nixon in China. Like many great operas, Nixon in China derives its plot from an historic political event. In this case, Nixon's 1972 visit to China.
Nixon in China was another one of these things. It was with New York City Opera, and it was by John Adams. John Adams came and he played the piano, and we knew exactly what we were going to have, and it was a couple of duets between Nixon and Mao Zedong.
Alice, this is your first opera?
That's right, Mr. Sellers.
Did a certain thrill course through your veins as you heard your words set to music?
It did indeed.
It was very exciting. However, when the day came that we were going to do this, it appeared that we had no scenery whatsoever. So I said to my staff, I said, come on, come with me. We have to go to my house and do whatever we can. I don't remember if it was in this apartment or not, but we took sheets. We took tablecloths, we took pillows, we took lots of books, and we created what we thought would be a study that Mao Zedong would use.
Waiting in bunkers for their Lord.
We started commissioning with Charles Warren because Charles Warren was a great friend, and we had produced some excerpts of works that he had done, and he was quite willing to work with JEAN-PIERRE BONNEFOUX as choreographer.
The music of Charles Warren is very complex, And when you hear it for the first time, you figure there's no way people are going to dance to that music. And I think a lot of people feel that way. And to me, it was always very clear that I was very excited about dancing on this music. I wanted to move, I wanted to express something.
When we decided to do a piece together, I asked Jean-Pierre what kind of a piece he wanted. And he said that it would be nice to have something in sections. So I said, how many? And he said 5. And voila.
They gave us a wonderful show. And I think we are now coming back to realizing that music and acting, or music and dance, really together make a much more exciting program than one or the other, if they're well done. John Zorn is a relatively young, controversial composer and a great deal of fun with whom to work. He has very definite ideas, and if he doesn't like something, he's eager to tell you so. However, with his music, we had Donald Byrd, who is a well-known choreographer, and we had Pam Tanowitz, who is steeped in the traditions of classical ballet. It was a great pleasure to see what the two of them, so different with their mind and so different in their styles, use the same music and choreograph to it. And the audience and the critics found it very intriguing. So did I.
I was a great fan of Stravinsky Balanchine. We go to the New York City Ballet to see those now classic works. Particularly, I remember thinking of Agon, which was really very late Stravinsky when he was still around to be able to conduct, and being very struck with that and feeling that there really is this kind of a connection between music and dance.
What drew you to Prometheus as a subject?
Oh, Prometheus. It is great fun to be a director. It is interesting, or a producer rather.
Well, I've done another version of Prometheus, and often I do. In working on a theme or an idea, I do many different variations of it.
So I said, how about it, Bob? Would you like to do Prometheus? Because our stage is just right for it. And I can sort of visualize a rock of some sort with a man tied to it. How do you feel about that? He said, absolutely, we want to do Prometheus. And then I never heard from him again. This story could go on maybe for half an hour. I kept calling and being told yes and never seeing him. Finally, I was in Paris, of all things, And his assistant called me and said, I come from Bob and he wants to talk to you. I said, that's wonderful. Now I said, for the last 6 months, every time I have asked Bob about Prometheus, he has sent me several plays, including one called The Old Man and the Wolves that he wanted to do instead. And each time I wrote back and said, thank you, but The Old Man and the Wolves is not what we really feel like presenting. I mean, we're not even a theatrical company. And we really don't want to do The Old Man and the Wolves. We would like to do a version of Prometheus. Okay. So I'm sitting in Paris having a wonderful croissant and some hot chocolate for breakfast, and I get a phone call, and it is an assistant of Bob's, and he said, Bob would love to work with you, and he knows exactly what you'd like to do. And the next day, I hear the fax ringing, and I'm so happy about it all. I run to the fax, and I pull out the fax, and it says, Bob is in absolute accord, in agreement with you. He feels that doing something on your stage would be wonderful. And he suggests The Old Man and the Wolves. And finally, I don't know what happened, the stars or the moon or something was in the right direction. And Robert Wilson decided to go ahead and do Prometheus.
Roads roaring past me. The fiery wreathed lightning flashes flare forth.
Ο Monte πήγε, ποντίων τε κυμάτων, ανήρυθμον γέλασμα.
We did the recital in Greek. It was wonderful. It was a great success. Bob designed a marvelous tableau. Irene Worth was so powerful. And it was just a wild success. But it took patience and belief in the goodness of man, I think, to finally get this on the stage. We enjoyed, or found out that we did enjoy, using the Rotunda when it was available. The Rotunda has seen a wonderful, wonderful show by Shen Wei. You can, of course, create a far more dramatic scene. It was a great, great show and very unusual. And then we went from there, we went to a young composer called Tyendai Braxton. And he had 6 huge pods, like pea pods, but enormous, constructed all throughout the rotunda. And he and his fellow musicians each sat up on top of one of them, and we had modern music to show that we too were with this world. We found quite often when looking at our audience that some of the people really were perfectly happy with the customs and mores with which they had grown up.
Oh, how that bird worried that wolf, and how the wolf wanted to get at that bird. But the bird was just too clever for the wolf, and there was nothing he could do about it.
We got George Steele and the Vox Vocal singers to create a Christmas program for us. It gave a Christmas spirit to the place, and we served fruit juice to the children and wine to the adults, which probably increased the Christmas spirit.
And that experience, which I do with my group, Vox, the Vox Vocal Ensemble, has been a wonderful way for us to connect with a really broad audience. I mean, every year it's a packed event, and people love to come, and it's just a great way for New Yorkers to sing together, and a great way for Vox to become a part of the lives of a lot of people in this city.
So there you are at the Guggenheim with whatever the art exhibit may be. We have joy to the world and jingle bells, and people like it.
Dreams never do
We don't only do jazz.
Edie's going to be tickled pink to see you all here. I'm afraid she's slipped away for the moment. The guest of honor. Nerves, I'm sure. But she won't be gone for long, I just know it. Why, just look at the garden, the sound of the ocean, and all of you here, all of you come to celebrate.
I just noticed that the curtains are moving slightly. That means the wind is from the north. And when the wind is from the north, I can see Orion. My friend, do me the favor of being this boy's father while the wind is from the north. Sleep, little boy, sleep while your fate is decided.
The truth is, I could never stand still for death, which you got to do by a certain age or be ridiculous. You got to stand there, noble and serene, and let death run his tape down your arms, around your belly, up your crotch, until he's got you fitted for that last black suit. And I can't. I won't. So I am left wrestling with this anachronistic energy that God has charged me with and which I will use till the dirt is shoveled into my mouth. Life! Life.
Part of the program is to try to reach all different areas of entertainment, including science, which can be entertaining if it is well introduced. We started off with Fractals by Benoit Mandelbrot. I still don't know what fractals are, but they make wonderful pictures.
I first worked with Mary Cronson in 1984. We were preparing the Desert Music, which is a very large piece of mine. It was going to be done at the Brooklyn Academy of Music, and before it was done there, we did it with Mary in a smaller version at the Guggenheim Museum back in 1984. And it was great to be able to, basically rehearse in public.
And to take that same line, but start later. Or the same line down a fifth. And start that one later. And down a step from there.
Become increasingly rich and lush in your musical palette. Could you tell us some of the key ways in which your music has evolved, say in the last 15 years?
Talking about your work without your work being present is ridiculous, because people generally really have no idea what you're talking about. Mary's programs work because the discussion is taking place while the audience has seen something happen. So everybody's on the same page, everybody has experienced the same reality, and they can talk about it, and it makes sense.
It's an amazing and rare opportunity, and you usually get 3 or 4 pieces of performance and 2 or 3 bits of conversation. It's an incredible way to look inside the culture now.
Mary succeeds because Mary loves what she's doing. Mary loves music. Mary loves dance. So she just takes to it like a duck to water. And everybody feels that. Her devotion and her very intense behind-the-scenes devotion to these projects has kept it going for many, many years and still going strong.
Works in Process must, first of all, thank the Guggenheim Museum. Long before any of the other museums even gave a thought to the idea that people might want to see and hear something, the Guggenheim said, fine, if you can do it, do it. It's just been a wonderful 30 years. It's been fun, it's been difficult, it's been impossible. Things haven't been delivered in time for the show. People get sick at the last minute. There are all kinds of small annoyances, and that I think is part of show business. And it's, nothing has been more fun than doing this program and doing it with the Guggenheim.